Hello. Um, when the voice goes up, it's a question. So why hello? Um, there's a interesting fact that when the body doesn't recognize the reason for the output, that the voice will increase in tone, I suppose, but possibly other factors like pitch as well. Um, so yeah, usually high pitch is associated to positive feelings, and Uh, voice inflections are related to questions when they go upward, but it's also it's not always a question. Sometimes it's the body's question. The body wants to know why it doesn't fit here. Think of it like shapes are traveling through shaped pipelines, and if it finds the wrong shape, or then it doesn't know how to fit in there, and the body does something like, huh? Why is that there? It's kind of a metaphor, kind of a way of understanding something really simple. In the movie Idiocracy, a really wonderful film about the smartest man in the world, a poignant point is made about fitting shapes into holes. So I like the point very much. Okay, welcome to my resume. I think life is full of interesting facts and interesting stories and interesting, I suppose you could say, experience. But the thing is that while there's a list of things that we can't identify with or know about the world, it's good to use a productive standard. So this is my video resume, but it's also my video story, a video diary, a way to think about things in a really specific way. I watched a video lately by Robert Herjavec, and listening to his wonderful words, the first thing that comes to mind is we're now in the era of AI. I wonder if everything's fake or soon fake. Is it, Robert? I don't know. However, I liked what he said, which is that the best way to earn money, best way to get to $1 million, is not necessarily by starting your own business, but by being a very skillful person. Now, I'm a very skillful person, and I don't believe that, except I can agree. Because I know, first of all, that I'm not a millionaire right now, and I can add that he said you have to go beyond general skill, basically. So I think I have a lifetime of skill, a lifetime of basic skill. And it's interesting, there are definite aptitudes. The other ones don't know this stuff. The usual story as we age, okay? It shows. Now is the time of my life where I'm going to get very specific. I'm going to do that elsewhere than here. This is for my generalist contribution. These are things I don't believe you get paid for. These are things that no matter how good you are at things, it's not worth money. It's not really going to increase the quality of life. But people do these things to explore productivity, to discover skill sets that increase the quality of life. People that know these things could already be well beyond my income. People that know these things don't use this information. It was something interesting they saw on an assembly line. It was something they saw somewhere or heard or talked about, something they learned or experienced. These aren't the brags. This is something like, yeah, we know each other. Okay? So even if you learn something new and it's interesting, I think focus on the fact that this is not what I think earning is. I think earners knew this or didn't think about it this way. They thought about it another way. So I'm going to go through my CV. This is the introduction to my channel, which is now going to be focused for the first time on a topic, because I think productivity is a good topic. Okay, so I'm Jamie May. My recent philosophy is no family left behind. When I was younger, I thought there was so much to do about philosophy, and then I got older and I thought, not philosophy. So when I joined a group, I learned that philosophy does have a one purpose that I can enjoy, which is that people of the same mind can agree to create an environment where they can adapt to do the things that they ought to do for themselves, which is productive. And by productive, I mean that I want a community who is educated in the meaning that they want better things, they want more things, they want useful things, healthy things, things that improve their lives. If they eat rice, I don't like rice per se, but I know how to enjoy rice. And if they eat it, let them eat rice, but healthy rice. You think of beriberi, you think, a disease like the deficiency caused by rice is not a great idea. That's why some standards were implemented somewhere in North America which made sure rice had enforcement of nutrition so that there was more nutrients in the rice. I don't have to agree it was healthy for you, but I can agree you eat it, and I can agree that it's good that you eat good things. Of things that are bad for you, at least they made it well. Although junk food exists, at least they made it wonderfully. Although there isn't much, you can agree we know how to talk and be worth more. Let's be worth money. Let's earn. That's why philosophy. That's why me. That's why you. That's why there's a group of people that exist. You have a kind of similar language. If you speak English, then you understand something about what I'm saying. Because we have a family together, an English family. We have a language family. Resume is like that as well, in my opinion, except we don't all come from the same places. Here you can see there's an experience and there's education. When I didn't document my experience in education, I thought that there wasn't going to be much more than I'm thinking about things that I didn't get done or do. But the more I fill this in, the more I think, wow, I kind of got all that done. I don't really need to keep doing it unless I need to fill the line, make a few bucks. And it can be a good idea. So there's so much things, right? If I were to look at my experience first, for example, I'm going to write all the way back. I want all my history. Give me Lego. Lego when I was small. Why is my Lego better than your Lego? Well, why can't I do Lego? Why can't you do Lego? Did you have a Lego contest? Sometimes these experiences aren't more to me than we can agree that we know each other. Some agreements, a certain amount of agreement that we know each other, is implicit, not explicit. I know Lego, you know Lego. We don't have to talk about it, but it's implicit. We understand each other. You didn't know they didn't know about Lego means you hadn't considered that this wasn't functionally something that they're orientated to, at least at some point, so they can understand the basic concept, which is, in your ken or familiar to you, something you know about. So looking all the way back, let's go down to a very early beginning. 2004. I think 2004 is not early enough. Let's look a little bit further. But that goes up because it goes from 2000 to 2006. I started young. I was working, as by this record, in grade 8. I also went to school, and believe me, there's no trade-off that will excuse you from a consequence. You can either do more of work or more of study. We don't all come from the same place. We don't all come from the same Canada or the same world. This is quite normal. But it's not all of us, and a lot of us never did this kind of thing in grade 8. But you have a lot of people in the world out there who have done those things, because they're not your countrymen. But even your countrymen do those things. Maybe you're from a different country where that was, very usual. Or not everybody. Maybe those ones worked too young. That's why they got to make YouTube videos. For example, me. Okay, so here's an example that I could make a diary about. But I don't think it's this point, maybe, to make a diary about everything. This is a section, okay? Oh, and this is the same section, but I made multiple sections because, that made sense to me since there's so much content. Okay, just a quick break. That looks great up there. I think it's amazing. I like it. Okay, so from grade 8 to 12, I worked as a farmhand while going to school. There might be many thoughts I could pose about that problem, or that answer, that result. I might think, what does it mean in grade 8? What does it mean in grade 9? What does it mean in grade 10? What does it mean in each grade? In A levels, technically, not all of it's 11 to 12 because it's, I was international. A levels, AS levels, A levels, Cambridge, yeah. So, oh wow, is that a flaw? Yes, I wasn't in after 10. How could I make this mistake? I'll fix it eventually. It's one of those things, I think about it forever and then I'll do it because I have so many things to think about. That's why I log it and share it. If this is of interest to you, it's because you like resume methodologies, personal life stories, meaningfulness, my voice, hopefully. Or not. It's up to you, okay? So here's a thought about cattle management. Maybe next year I have an idea. I think, it's a good idea to say something about cattle. And then make a point. It could be obvious, like I can use a food-based approach and say it's necessary to feed them grass. I mean, when I was in grade 8, I was eating grass-fed beef already. And that's only happening in Canada now, on average, in the store, because finally major medical experts made that possible through spreading methodologies and going against the grain, I think, because that's what it looked like. No pun intended, but awesome pun there too. Went against granaries, but they also went against the grain of, the wood, as it were. So, but honestly, when I was young, okay, in grade 8, 9, 10, I would leave. I left this place where I was working. And did you know that it was hard to leave? I should have been excited. I want to go to university. But I didn't know what I was eating. I was young. I was working on the farm with the cows, in the cow barns, in the cow sty, as it were, like a pigsty. I don't know. It's just full of shit. Excuse the language, but lots of poo-poo that I have to shovel. I'm pushed into a big hill of poo that grows every year, like a big mountain of poo. This is cattle. And I ate and felt great all the time because I had grass-fed meat. Because I didn't, later in life understand that, I was upset. I was upset because they were religious and I thought, how could they? Well, I changed my mind about that. They can do what they want to because it's a diverse community anyway. And I finally learned that. And by the way, what they did was really great. I ate grass-fed meat and I didn't know it. They took care of me wonderfully. I was really okay. The part that I wasn't okay with was I would have liked to have learned, how to be an engineer, even. If I followed the same pathway, amazing literature experts, travel and see the great libraries. Be a PhD, wow, that's fun. It's fun. But the thing is, I didn't know grass-fed beef. When I left, I was so out of it. I was like, oh, everything's awful. I get back there and I'm so happy again. That's why I had to eat right and I had to exercise right. And the normal food at my Safeway, which is high quality stuff, just wasn't doing it. We used to collect all the grass These are not things you know without doing it. You collect grass year after year from the fields and you fill the silo. That's not a big project. That's like you cut it every time it grows, and then you stack it. You stack it in the silo. And the cows eat it during the winter. That's something that I ate as a junior. I ate doing these things. And the cows ate the grass. They weren't eating grain. Maybe the farmer fed them other things because they ran out of grass. I don't really know, but we fed them what was in the silo. That's what I know. What's a silo? A silo is the key to the future. You want silos because you want cows eating out of them. You wouldn't know how amazing it is to eat right and not even know it. And if you leave that and you don't know it, you go to another place, something's wrong. And you're like, I don't get things. And that's kind of all it meant to understand being young, feeding animals, eating animals, and not knowing how healthy it was. Because in other places, you don't get half the energy. It doesn't match. Okay, so with that in mind, I think life is full of interesting choices, and I'm ready to share some stories which show the realization that we can't know things sometimes, except people keep doing things in a way. And then by experience, we learn that was the correct way. We can also have other realizations, such as, interesting, somebody had grass-fed meat and didn't know it. Okay. There are so many kinds of stories. What does it mean to do things about chicken barns? Anyway, over life, there are lots of experiences, and I hope these are useful to you. Welcome to my video diary, my resume diary. It's really about productivity. Take care. I hope you have a wonderful future.